Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be here for the second time in BSidesTLV. You hear about phishing scams all the time. And yes, phishing is not a new thing out there. But in this session, we're going to talk about a specific campaign, a global and a massive one that caught our attention since one of our colleagues almost fell prey to it, and it became personal. We'll share the steps that we have done as researchers to analyze this entire operation and the techniques used by the attackers to deceive victims and steal their sensitive information. But before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Sarit. I'm a senior security researcher at Imperva. My main focus is web application, and as part of my job, I develop algorithms to detect and protect against attacks.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yohann Sillam. I'm senior security researcher as well. I've been focusing in web application security and malware analysis. And if you want to follow me, you can use this Twitter link.
Let's start with our story. It all started when a colleague tried selling a car seat on a second-hand website. I'm sure all the Israeli people in this audience are familiar with YachTime, but for those who are not, so this is one of the most popular ones. He posted his phone number so people be able to contact him and ask him about the product, and he waited. A couple of days after the publication, he received a WhatsApp message from a potential buyer asking for details about the product. And after a few messages, the scammer introduced him a deceptive paying service with the YachTime branding. Now, I must stop here for a second to highlight some of the social engineering tricks this scammer used. First, the use of the Israeli phone number with a nice picture on top are quite convincing. The friendly messages talking in Hebrew and the use of a smiley are also a nice addition. And actually, the use of WhatsApp application is quite uncommon. All of this combined make it a very convincing phishing operation. Now, pressing on the link opens this web page. We can say that the site looked pretty good. It had the theme, the logo of YachTime, and also included all the details of the product. It was with HTTPS with a valid certificate, which in most cases comes with an unjustified sense of security. Indeed, it wasn't the legitimate vendor site. Also, having YachTime in the URL is not enough. Pressing on the orange button forwards the victim to this paying page. And actually, the credit card information are being forwarded to the scammers. Now, at this point, we wanted to understand how the operation really works, so we submitted an empty prepaid card in order to better understand how it works. And we got an SMS from the credit card company notifying us on a payment request from MonoDirect, which is a Ukraine service. They asked for 4,500 Ukraine currency, which is around 400 American dollars. This was the start of our investigation. We wanted to know who is behind this campaign, what is the scale, who are the targets, and for how long it is being active. The initial point was our scam domain, and these are the steps that we have decided to take. First, gather information from open source intelligence, then perform static analysis, and last, if needed, perform dynamic analysis. And we will elaborate on each and every one of the steps and show you what we finally achieved. We used Whois to get information about when the domain was registered. And we saw that the date was just a few days earlier. We also wanted to know who registered the domain. Unfortunately, this information was sealed since the person that created the domain asked it to be protected. Next, URL scan. URL scan, if you're not familiar with the service, enables you to submit URLs, and it would use automated browser to fetch and load all the resources of the page, and will store it in a huge database, and enables users to perform search queries on this database. So we used URL scan to get and find additional sites like ours. And there is a nice option to search by string, and also to get similar URLs or URLs related to the same IP, and also see all the HTTP transaction of the site. And actually, this step gave us a lot of leads, and eventually, we found and revealed a lot of similar sites like the scam site from before. And last, the well-known virus total. We used it to create a graph of the campaign. We discovered thousands of domains and tens of thousands of URLs. And I think that at this point, we understood that we are dealing with something big that's worth further investigation. The various total graph that we created gave us the opportunity to compare the structure between the different scam sites. It was a single-page application written in Angular, and there were multiple JavaScript files with a total of 100K of lines. And while digging into this code, we discovered 320 different banks located all around the world. But at this point, we didn't understand what was the purpose of them. We saw 48 different languages that were used as part of the scam sites, which means that everyone is a target, no matter if you're talking in Hebrew, Dutch, German, whatever. You might be a victim to this campaign. We saw 340 different targets, different companies that this campaign targeted. Among them, well-known banks, postal services, social media sites like Etsy, eBay, Booking. And these three findings show us that this is indeed a massive campaign. Next, we spotted some hidden URLs in the code. And when we tried to access them, we were actually redirected to the /root/login and got this screen. By reviewing the source code a bit more closely, we noticed a strange DNS query that was performed by the browser. And at this point, we decided to go and do the dynamic approach to better understand the front-end functionality. The dynamic approach gave us the precise understanding of the communication between the front-end and the backend server of the attackers. Let's see how it looks without our intervention. So we have a victim that clicks on a malicious link. This opens the website, the scam site, in his browser, and the browser communicates with the backend server of the attackers. Now, in order to better understand how the scam site really worked, so we created it in our lab and added a man-in-the-middle proxy to be able to manipulate the response from the server. Now, there is some advantages of using man-in-the-middle proxy is that it generates on-the-fly certificates, assuming that you already created the root certificate, which means that if you want to analyze different domains, different scamming sites, you don't need to worry about certificates anymore. In addition, you don't need to implement the entire server. You just need to create handlers for specific queries that you want to perform, and it's like you're creating a minimalist server for quick and efficient testing. Here is an example of response from the server. We noticed 20 different template IDs, but we didn't know what was their purpose. Only by doing dynamic analysis, we could really understand how the site worked. We realized that changing the template ID actually changes the entire layout of the site. When we used template ID equals 1, we got OLX layout, and when we changed it to 13, we got DHL. Small change, and the site looked completely different. Another parameter controlled the language of the site, and there was another one who was responsible for the payment method that will be displayed to the victim. Would it be credit card information like we saw before, or bank information, which was the answer to our open question from before, or what was the purpose of the 320 different banks? Now remember this strange DNS query that prevented us to reach all the hidden endpoints in the code? So actually, if you were wondering, no, this domain doesn't exist on the internet. It actually belongs to the local network of the attackers, which we can say that it's kind of a security mechanism and anti-analysis technique developed by the attackers. Now let's go back to this. To be able to bypass this DNS query issue, we added a domain to our host file and also created a local server listening on port 443. And now, instead of talking to the real server of the attackers, we are talking to our local server. And by that, we could be able to see what was behind those hidden URLs that were only available to the scammers. So the root index, was the main page of the scammers. You can see it's written in Russian, and we added translation in red, and it's relevant for the entire picture that you see in the presentation. The Great Bank gave them the ability to add support of new banks that this scamming operation will use. And the Great Platform, you can add new targets to the campaign. Now, another cool thing that we saw in the code was hidden scammer's chat. We noticed when a victim writes something on the chat, there is a real person, a scammer, a worker actually, that is answering his questions. We can see that the victim is being called as a mammoth and the scammer as a worker. So until now, we were able to answer almost all of our questions besides who is behind this campaign, which in most cases, this question stays unanswered. But during further investigation that we did in the past month, we were able to find a leaked version of the backend source code. And Yohann will tell you more about it.
Thank you very much, Sarit. Until now, at this point, we were pretty satisfied of our understanding of the front end of this phishing campaign. We had an idea of the scale of the campaign, the number of supported sites, the number of supported banks as well, languages. But we wanted more. We wanted to know how it worked in the back end. We wanted to know who was behind this operation and how they operated. So we discovered a leaked source code associated to our campaign. It came from a mysterious Kitty F actor, and it was created at the end of 2023. We have a few assumptions regarding the origin of this leak, but we'll talk about it later. Before having this leaked source code, this is what we knew more or less. In a short summary, the victim connects to a phishing URL with a unique ID. Based on this unique ID, the server will generate a JSON that will enable the front end to customize specifically for this victim. Thanks to this backend source code, this is what we understood about what happens behind the scene. So there are two main servers. The first one is a Node.js web server that exposes the phishing content that we saw earlier. It's hosted behind Cloudflare, and domains are regularly updated in order to harden detection by security solutions. The second server is a Node.js server that uses the Telegraph library in order to communicate with a Telegram bot. This bot manages the whole workflow of scammers, from their recruitment to their generation of phishing links, even the communication with the victims. There are a few reasons why to use this kind of architecture. One of them, it enables collaborators to work and communicate with each other without sharing any of their identity or their fingerprints. And besides that, it also enables to rely on the security and high level of encryption that the Telegram application provides. The scammer only needs to provide his Bitcoin wallet, and he's ready to go. But before really diving into the components of this backend, let's talk a bit about the threat actor. Because indeed, this was one of the key questions when we were given this phishing link. Who are the guys that are doing this? So in this leaked source code, we found a link to a private GitHub repository. This attracted our attention because it was private. And it was from a mysterious Mr. Enigman account. So we tried to search for this nickname on the internet. And actually, we found it in an ad for a scam team management platform in an underground forum. Bingo, this was exactly what we were looking for. At the end of this message, there were links to Telegram handles, one of them actually being NitroScam. So we just followed this lead. From NitroScam, we went to another one here, Haron.js. And from Haron.js, we were able to find a Telegram channel called Haron Rent. And we discovered that this Telegram channel was the main channel for advertisement of the very scam team management platform that we had in our hands. As you can see here on the left side, you have the main flyer to advertise this service. So they emphasize on the quick domain rotation, on the 24/7 support. And this is when we understood why this campaign was so massive. Because here, this channel includes like 400 members. Possibly 100 teams are using this platform. So it was so massive because it's a swarm of campaigns that are using this scam team management platform to perform their operation. So we went over the messages being exchanged in this Telegram channel and also in the related ones. And we were able to highlight a few things. First of all messages were written in Russian. And actually, the currency this platform is being sold is ruble. So we can clearly associate this operation with Russians. Secondly, it's quite affordable. The price for renting this platform is $100 a month. So even a small-scale team can afford this. Then, there are a lot of slangs being used in these messages, so we can associate it with young adults. And lastly, there is some kind of community spirit here. Tutoring, teaching is recommended, is even promoted. We'll see even that later. Advice on how to become a better scammer is being provided in these channels. So this is why it makes this phishing campaign so effective, in my opinion. We continued reviewing the messages in this Telegram channel, and we found this one, published on November 15, 2023, from the owner of the platform, Aaron Rent. He talked about the end of collaboration with a software developer that used to work for him. What he said more or less is that due to disagreeing financial moves, he decided to close the access to this software developer. What's interesting here is the date when this message was posted and the date of the creation of our leak was in the same week. So we suspect that this leak actually originates from this software developer. So this highlights the importance of insider threats. Whether it's legit companies or illegitimate ones, insider threat is always a concern and things to be taken care of. Okay, now that we finished talking about the intelligence part, let's talk a bit about the architecture, about the components of this phishing platform. So first of all, let's look at the workflow. So let's say would-be scammer would first submit an application to an admin, to the bot, in order to be part of a team. The administrator will accept or reject the application. And then the scammer will have the ability to first find an ad on the internet, like a potential victim, create a fake profile, and generate a link. Then he'll be able to send this link to a victim either via SMS or WhatsApp. And finally, he will be able to use the Telegram interface in order to communicate with the victim through the support chat. Once the victim falls into the trap, his sensitive information, credit card number, are being stored in a server. The admin will receive, a message in a dedicated Telegram channel, and he'll be able to manage workers, mentors, and so on. We'll see that in detail just now. So these are the components that we'll go over just now. First of all, if at some point in your life you'd like to be part of a scam team, I hope you won't, these are the kind of questions that you may be asked. So first of all, which team have you worked for before? Second, what's the total amount of your profits that you made? And lastly, how did you find out about the team? The point here is to know, first of all, if you're not a scam yourself, and second of all, to know some references, to know if there are some people that someone can ask questions about you. So once the application is accepted, this is the main interface that the scammer will see, that you will see. You'll have the ability to generate links, to manage your links, possibly disable them. And then you have also the ability to add a mentor. So this mentor will help you become a better scammer, but on the other hand, he will take a portion of your commission. So this is the interface, how the interface looks like when the scammer generates a link. So on the left side, you can see the scam page being generated, and on the right side, you can see the interface in the Telegram channel when the link is generated. You can see the link at the bottom. And here is actually a video of, oh, sorry, I made a mistake.
Yohann, just a second. Just start the video.
Thank you. Could you start that?
We started for you.
Okay.
Okay.
So here you can see the interface when the victim sends a message in the platform to ask questions about, let's say, he's not feeling very comfortable sending information to, or using this platform, actually. So he sends a message to the chat. Automatically here in the Telegram interface, the message is being received. Everything is in Russian. So he'll have the ability to write an answer. So here, we, in the other side, just generated this dummy answer. And then the attacker can see that indeed the message was seen. And then we come back to the victim part. And indeed, the message was received. OK, once the victim falls into the trap, as I said, the data is being stored into a database, and a message is being sent into a dedicated Telegram channel. On the left side, you can see the message that the administrator receives. What's interesting to keep in mind here is that the owner of the platform also will get access to this stolen information, because it will be stored in the MySQL database. And then the administrator of the bot will have the ability to manage workers, as I said earlier, adding more mentors, managing the status of workers, rotating domains, and so on. But one question that you may wonder now is, did we try to infiltrate a team? And the answer is yes. So actually, we found a team, we submitted an application, it was accepted, and this gave us a much broader vision of what happens behind the scene. So first of all, we knew, we had an idea of the number of teams based on the number of subscribers to the Run channel. But then we were able to find a team with more than 700 members. So it can give an idea of, let's say, the potential scale of a single team. And then in the messages being submitted in these channels, we could see the amount of money generated by the top scammers. And you can see that some of them are making more than $20,000. So a very quick computation can give us an idea of the scale of the market. And we can say that it's worth reasonably tens of millions of dollars. So this is it about what we wanted to share regarding this massive phishing campaign. First of all, we looked at the architecture of a phishing as a service software being used in a massive campaign. Then we talked about the tools and the methodology in order to analyze such a campaign. Then we talked about the threat related to insider threats. And finally, we discovered together the scamming actors ecosystem. I hope you like this speech. And if you have any questions, we are here to answer. We published a blog regarding this story. You can use the QR code here.
Thank you.